everyone, and welcome to Commanding on a Budget. This week's budget pick is Ghostly Flicker. This common is great for decks that like to abuse enter the battlefield abilities of permanents or just save them from removal. Today we'll be taking a look at a $50 Jor Kadeen list submitted by Jacco Hop. Jor Kadeen is a sizable body that gives your creatures +3/+0 if you have metalcraft, so this deck is all about playing cheap artifacts and creatures to put pressure on the board in the early game. In the late game, either Jor Kadeen himself or another big beater can finish the job. The mana ramp in this deck serves two purposes: to be actual ramp and to contribute to metalcraft. Worn Power Stone. It can't be used the turn it comes out, but it will take you from 3 mana to Jor Kadeen. Palladium Mirror and Pilgrim's Eye are mana development that work well with Tempered Steel. Armillary Sphere and Mycosynth Wellspring help you make land drops. Boros Signet and Darksteel Ingot fix your colors and get Jor Kadeen out earlier. Wayfarer's Bauble puts you ahead of land drop. Mind Stone. Mana and metalcraft or a card, whichever you need more. Your mana rocks will help with metalcraft, but why not play some artifact guys that will help you get metalcraft and then benefit from it? Blade Splicer. 4 power for only 3 mana. Master Splicer. A more expensive splicer that buffs all your golems. Precursor Golem. Works well with the Golem tribal cards in the deck, puts a lot of power on the table, and automatically gives you metalcraft. Darksteel Juggernaut. A huge, indestructible beater. Mirror Battlesphere. If you need metalcraft, this guy has your back. If you have Tempered Steel out, you'll be swinging for 18 damage. Mirror Sire makes another mirror when he dies, which helps maintain metalcraft. Porcelain Legionnaire. An extremely cheap beater if you pay the Phyrexian mana, and First Strike makes it hard to kill in combat. Shimmer Mirror. This little guy will help you surprise your opponents with dudes and equipment. Signal Pest. A very cheap creature that helps make your other cheap creatures much better. Tempered Steel makes even the most insignificant artifact creature a respectable beater. Your artifact beaters will put some damage on the board, but it never hurts to have more beaters. Anger makes your creatures relevant the turn they hit the board. Goblin Ruin Blaster kills a pesky non-basic land and has haste. Kuldotha Phoenix. A hasty beater that never stays dead. Molten Primordial lets you swipe a few creatures to swing the board state in your favor. Assemble the Legion. The only thing better than getting a hasty soldier token every turn is getting lots of hasty soldier tokens every turn. Sunhome Fortress of the Legion and Slayer's Stronghold make your creatures even better at combat, which is especially handy for your general. So far we've shown ways to get metalcraft and put some damage on the board, but your general is one of the most powerful beaters in the deck, so why not let him really shine with some equipment? Nim Deathmantle is great for Jor Kadeen or any guy you don't want to lose. Darksteel Plate. Sure, exiling removal and -1/-1 counters can still take care of a creature wearing this, but having wrath and damage protection for your commander will let you rest a little easier. Bone Horde. It makes any creature huge and comes with its own creature. O Naginata. If you have metalcraft, this bargain price equipment will make Jor Kadeen a 2-turn clock. Piston Sledge. Makes your creatures much bigger and can be used to sacrifice your Wellsprings. Stratascythe. Even though you play 2 colors, this card will still help one of your creatures be much bigger. Swiftfoot Boots. Giving creatures haste and hexproof is always handy. Sunforger. One of the most powerful cards in the deck, hands down. It makes a creature much bigger, but the real power comes from the unattach ability. It allows you to have a Sunforger toolbox that can find some great cards. With all those cheap beaters and awesome equipment, it's nice to have a way to get them back in the likely event that they get removed. Junk Diver. Grabs an artifact from your graveyard when he dies, which makes him another great artifact to sack to Piston Sledge. Sanctum Gargoyle gets an artifact when he enters the battlefield, and since he's a flyer, he can wear equipment well. Razor Hippogriff. All the awesomeness of Sanctum Gargoyle with life gain added. Sun Titan. In a deck all about cheap artifacts and creatures, Sun Titan is a powerhouse. Remember the Fallen lets you get back a creature and an equipment to attach to it. Buried Ruin. Getting back artifacts is a great ability, but not having to waste a spell slot on the ability is even better. Your deck is full of cheap beaters and you have a beastly general. Since this describes a lot of commander decks, it's good to pack some removal. Luminate Primordial. Sure, you're potentially giving your opponents a lot of life, but it will also take out a lot of creatures. Steel Hellkite. White gives you a lot of removal options, but why not have one that's on an artifact body? Brittle Effigy. It can sit around to give you metalcraft or take care of a creature. Condemn. Losing your general is never fun, but it's always great when it happens to someone else. Crib Swap. If you think you don't have access to good exiling removal on a budget, then you're wrong. The only real problem with this card is that it's not the best against tribal decks. Dispense Justice. Instant speed sacrifice removal is always good, but a card that can hit 2 creatures reliably is even better. Oblivion Ring. Exile any permanent. Phyrexian Rebirth. A sweeper that puts you 1/3 of the way toward having metalcraft again. Return to Dust. A card that gives you the option to remove 2 problem permanents, and the fact that it's an instant makes it an extremely powerful Sunforger target. Scourglass is a sweeper that might not affect you too much and might win you the game if Jor Kadeen is wearing Darksteel Plate. Wear and Tear gives you cheap options for artifact and enchantment removal. Just remember, you can't fuse it off of Sunforger. Red and white are notoriously bad when it comes to card draw, but there are a few artifacts that can help you out. Temple Bell gives your opponents cards too, but you get to control when, and hopefully you'll kill them before they get to cast anything. Well of Knowledge lets you draw a few cards and get some friends along the way. Pure Steel Paladin. His draw ability is handy, but his ability to make equip cost 0 is just a dream come true. Crystal Ball and Ichor Wellspring help dig and contribute to metalcraft. This deck loves to have metalcraft and makes Sunforger awesome, so these silver bullets do that and then some. Phyrexian Revoker lets you stop abilities from planeswalkers, enchantments, and more. Boros Charm. The double strike and indestructible modes of this card are both just what this deck needs. The worst thing about this card is you only get one. Master Warcraft can be used to make your team unblockable, as a fog, or as a way to force your opponent's utility creatures to attack or block. Norn's Annex contributes to making your team bigger while keeping you from being attacked too much. Tormod's Crypt. A cheap artifact for metalcraft that can get rid of a graveyard if needed. Vicious Shadows will make your opponents regret all those cards you gave them with Temple Bell and Well of Knowledge. Wild Ricochet. The part of your Sunforger package that will let you mess up someone's big plans. Steel Shaper's Gift. This card is the most expensive one in the deck money-wise, but it can get any equipment for just 1 mana. Now for the lands. Ancient Den, Darksteel Citadel, Great Furnace, Ancient Amphitheater, Boros Garrison, Evolving Wilds, Secluded Steppe, Spine Rock Knoll, Temple of the False God, and 13 Plains and 13 Mountains. The non-budget acquisitions. Sol Ring, Mox Opal, and Mana Crypt ramp into Jor Kadeen and make metalcraft easier to achieve. Skull Clamp, Batter Skull, Umezawa's Jitte, and the Swords of Protection and Value. You're playing a deck with a big general that likes artifacts, so more equipment is never a bad thing. Wormcoil Engine and Etched Champion are all-star artifact beaters. Stonehewer Giant, Stoneforge Mystic, and Enlightened Tutor help find equipment. Aurelia the War Leader, Elish Norn, and Elspeth Knight Errant take the aggro aspect up a notch. Nevinral's Disc and Oblivion Stone are great artifact sweepers. The deck's strengths. It puts a lot of damage on the board very quickly. Is easy for newer commander players to pilot. Has lots of removal options. Can go with general damage or regular combat damage. Its weaknesses. It has a hard time dealing with combo. Too many wraths can be difficult to recover from. Red and white have little draw power. And Jor Kadeen is a powerful general who will probably eat a lot of removal. You should play this deck if you want a Voltron deck that still plays lots of other creatures, you like cheap, efficient beaters, you like shorter games, or you love artifacts. This deck is great for players with few cards because any cheap artifact creatures or utility artifacts would be good. What's your favorite artifact creature? Let me know in the comments section below, and as always, thanks for watching.